because others made it possible. My coach, Coach Timmons, all the people that helped, timers, people who just take care of the athletes' clothes, they all make it possible. And so I get to be the recipient, but you can't get there on your own.
For many years after you broke that 4-minute barrier, the high school sub-4 was a prestigious mark. Past 3 years, though, 5 high school kids and kids running 401s, 402s. Do you believe the sub-4 high school is as prestigious as it once was with the people breaking it so often now?
Well, let me just say this, because there were 3 of us and then a big drought. I think the concern became if they run too fast too soon, they're going to burn out. And I would say, and I think that's what this new generation is seeing, it's just one more step on down the road. It's a matter of how you choose to approach that. If it's something you feel is your end, I think that's wrong, but it's a matter of dreaming big and keeping it going. And they caught that vision. That's why we have a good group of milers coming along. Jenny Simpson, who's in the women's mile, is one of our camp graduates, and she's one of those that caught that vision and is running with it and continues to do that. So I think they understand that just because you run fast early doesn't mean you can't continue to run fast, and they're really running very, very well.
What do you think is the reason for the uptick?
Well, I think part of it is they're not afraid of the barrier anymore. It's just another barrier. It shouldn't be something to be afraid of. It's just a time. I mean, I remember Coach Brutus Hamilton once said, there'll never be anybody running under 4 minutes. Nobody ever threw the shot put 60 feet. There'll never be a 16-foot pole vault. Well, those are barriers that people set up temporarily. And once somebody went through, then they continue to be broken. And these guys now and gals are realizing that they can run fast. And once that barrier is broken, keep going. There's no reason to stop.
There was another famous barrier that was being attempted to be broken, the sub-2-hour marathon barrier. What were your thoughts on that attempt?
I'm not a marathoner. I can't really comment on that one. It's quite an achievement. If it does happen, it will happen at some point. But I just go back to the whole philosophy that my coach taught, and that is dream big. You're limited by your dream. And of course, one of the big things is the attitude. I mentioned it tonight to everyone here. You used to say to me, James, you don't have to do this, you get to do it. So the whole point is attitude. Attitude's a very big part of breaking barriers and continuing to break them.
Do you think if there was an all-star race of everyone at the age of 18, of these sub-4 milers, who would win? You, Webb,
You know what? I'm not very good at speculating on things like that. It'd be a very interesting race, though.
Who do you think would take it out?
I have no idea. Because when you get a group like that, the dynamics change a lot as to who might lead and who might not. I mean, take, for example, the race in Bakersfield. It wasn't my intention to lead. I had led many races, but it wasn't my intention to lead the national championship. But I found myself in that position and I couldn't get rid of it, so either keep leading or whatever. So I went ahead. The dynamics changed because of what happened in the first 200 yards. And so I think in a race like you're speculating on, hypothetical, who knows what they would do, because everybody will probably change their strategy based on who's in the race.
Running in Bakersfield, not ideal place to break a world record. Hot, humid. I mean, what was in your mind when you broke the record?
Well,
an ideal place.
First of all, one thing that Coach Timmons has taught me, you only think about the things that you can control. You can't control the weather, so you've got to live with it. We talk about that in our Ryan Running Camps. You can go to ryanrunning.com. And we make that point that there are certain things you can't control, but what you can control, your attitude, how you approach the race, work on those. So, for example, in Bakersfield, fortunately it was late at night, it was kind of warm, but I trained in the heat before. It was dry heat there, that was good. So I just didn't let that be a factor, and you run the race. The race that was the most difficult for me wasn't Bakersfield, but it was Los Angeles about 3 weeks later, because then it was like 95 degrees, unbelievably hot. That was a much tougher race physically than the one in Bakersfield. Bakersfield was the easiest race of my life. In fact, I saw a comment I made. In fact, if you want to go to our webpage, ryanrunning.com, you can see the workouts I did leading up to 351. But I made a comment on my workout log that particular day. I said, give me 10 minutes and I could do another 4-minute mile. It was that easy that night.
Have you ever go back after that?
Pardon me?
You went back after that?
Went back up 7 years.
As a reminder that you broke the world record there.
Sorry, I don't understand.
You've been back to Bakersfield.
What about it? Have I gone back?
Yes.
I've been there, but it was a synthetic surface now. It's not the same. And it's interesting, too. I was sharing with somebody a moment ago. The track in those days was your famous baked clay California tracks, which means they water them during the day and the sun bakes them. Guess what? By the time they're down to the last 2 events, they're sawdust. And so if you look at that race on YouTube, you'll see me wandering around on the inside lane trying to find good footing. And I was trying to put good footing. It was a good track, but I haven't been back. Now I know it's synthetic, though, so there's a big difference. Okay?
You still follow the sport pretty closely?
I'm sorry?
You still follow the sport pretty closely?
I try as much as I can.
Why do you think track was so much popular back in the day?
I think there were fewer opportunities for young people. I'll give you an example. My coach, for example, in high school, recruited runners right out of the gym class. And he would say, I think you can be a runner once you come out for the team. And so those kinds of factors, now there are more things, phones, games to play. There was more of a focus in those days. And I can't explain it all. If I could, I'd write a book on it. But I think there are a lot more distractions now than there were then.
Is there anything you would change about the sport to try to make it more popular?
Yeah, I'd get rid of the meters and I'd go to yards. I'd run a mile instead of 1,500 meters all the time. And for the simple reason, how fast do you drive your car?
60.
How many meters an hour? No, you drive how many miles an hour? We need to be more public friendly. And I think the method of, we changed it to meters. Okay, it may have been international, but we lost some of the public because what's 1,600 meters? Well, it's not a mile, and 1,500 meters isn't either. I think we do ourselves a better service by making it a mile. People can identify with a mile, and it has the attraction that keeps the public involved.
Of the Americans competing today, is there anyone that reminds you of yourself?
Oh gosh, they all do in one way or another. The race that Matt ran at the Olympic Games was a smart race. He let the race develop behind him, and it was a remarkable race. They all are doing a great job. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, but Matt's been running really great, having a great season. Rio was one of those.
You run these days? You look pretty fit.
Sorry?
You run a lot these days?
I run a little bit. I run more in camp, which starts this week. We have 3 weeks of running camp at RyanRunning.com. We have one in San Diego, one in Colorado, and one in Virginia. And I'll run with the kids as much as possible, but my role is more to be there, share experiences with them. For example, I mentioned tonight, when I would go into a race, you usually have 3 or 4 strategies, but you never know sure which one's going to work. One was from this Bakersfield was to make the U.S. team. Second one was to not fall, and then 3 was to be available for whatever else happened. And it turns out that the race developed that I had the lead and I couldn't get rid of it, and that was not my first strategy. So you have to be flexible, and that's one thing we teach them is that you need to have strategies, but be flexible in case the race doesn't develop like you expect it to.
And you're a congressman. Are you still involved with politics? Do you follow it a lot, or?
I do follow it a lot. I'm still involved. Yep.
So what are you doing? What do you do with that now?
I help find conservatives to run for office. My interest in running for politics actually came from my experience in high school competing against the Soviet national team. I would come back from the Soviet Union and some of the Scandinavian countries, and I think, wow, we got a really great country here. And someday I'd have a chance to help, which started in 1996 when I ran for office the first time. I'd like to do that. It was a great opportunity to serve for 10 years as a 2nd District Congressman from Kansas.
Do you think politics is more divided now than it was 20 years ago?
It's very divisive, but it's not new. I can show you a step on the Capitol, inside on the marble steps, where a reporter turned around and shot a congressman. And that was back in the early 1900s. So that's a lot different from where we are now. So it's been pretty divided for a long time.
Wow. Yeah.
Get to know some of those sub-4-minute milers in high school over the years, but I was wondering if you're a transition.
I watch these guys from a distance, and of course, what's available now, it's much easier to follow than in my day. In my day, if you wanted to follow what was going on, you had to watch ABC White People Sports, and it was pretty limited at that time.
Is it still flattering that every time a potential sub-4-minute miler comes up, your name gets brought up?
Well, let me put that in perspective. Let me tell you this story. I was the kid in junior high that was cut from every team he tried out for, including the church baseball team, junior high track and field team, junior high basketball team. I would go to bed at night and say, dear God, if you've got a plan for my life, I'd appreciate it if you show up and it's not running. And then after less than 2 years of running, I'm on my first Olympic team. I shared with someone earlier that I was so unprepared for what was coming that I had one of the TV stations who happened to film my first race, and he happens to have a library of all my races. And so before a big race, he would sit me down in front of the old 16mm projector, turn it on, and he'd say, that's you, don't forget it when you go race, because I had a difficult time. I was remembering more the teams I'd been cut from than the races I'd run. Over time, that would change, but in the beginning, it was very hard to really believe that was me.
Yes.
Speaking of USSR week,
Yes.
what did we do then? I mean, that was a captivating thing to me when I was a kid. What did we do then that you would like to see us bring back now to help grow the sport?
I'd love to see it again, but you don't have quite the tensions that you had then between the units. You didn't have the Cold War was still going on. It would be a great competition. I just don't know whether it would have the same magic. I would like to see it again because if you remember, if you happen to see it, you could have 2 days of 100,000 people in the stands. And it was a great competition.